Hey guys, Rob or Panics here, and welcome to Web Design and Coding for Beginners, Part 5. Now today is going to be a mixture of really simple things and one really complicated thing. So we're going to be looking at text and how to style it, and we're just going to kick off from there. So what we're going to do is we're going to unhide my desktop, Command H6. And I've cleaned it up a little bit, still far too much on there, but web design and coding for beginners, and we'll open up our index, as per usual, open in Dreamweaver. And let's go. So we'll, again, preview it in Chrome, as we do normally. Now let's open up on my second screen, because I have another website ready to bring up later on. But this is where we got to. We had the navigation bar, which actually, once you get that in, it starts to look like a website, and the text, but I don't want it in whatever shitty serif font this is. In fact, I don't even know what it is. It annoys me. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at different ways of tackling font families and how to make them look good, and sort of colours and stuff. So we'll start with a really easy one. We're going to do colour to start with. So we used a nice yellow for our hover, but I think I'm going to change that. So we're going to go to, we're going to open up Photoshop. If you don't have Photoshop, you can get hex color creators online. But basically just open up your color palette. And there are free apps as well on the Mac App Store for just basically picking colors. So what we're going to want to do is we're going to go back to the nav. I want to talk about setting a selected nav. I didn't cover this last week. But when you're on your home page, let's assume this is our home page, you want it to say that this is your home page. At the moment, you don't know which page you're on just by looking at the nav. So we're going to add a class to the home one. So in the A tag, before the end of the spiky bracket, we're going to do class equals nav underscore cell, as in short for selected. You can call them whatever you want, really. I've learned a specific set that I just use every time, and then because it's a class, we're going to do dot nav underscore cell, and we're going to make it color. Now this is where we're going to choose the colors. So when I want it selected, I'm going to want it to be this blue here. Now this is just any color blue. I won't tell you what colors specifically I'm using because I want you guys to try it out and find something you like. So right. Now here's an issue. If you've styled nav, the nesting system we did last time, so we said anything within nav, any link within a nav, any link within a list within an unordered list within the nav will do this. That will override any single classes. So if you want to do a specific class within that, and because it's only going to use once, we're going to do that anyway. So we're going to do hash nav ul.lia.nav. So that's any A tag that's called nav underscore cell in a list, in an unordered list, in the nav, in the nav container. Now if we go back, press that, and it should be blue. There we go. And we're just going to set the background color. Now we set the background to 000, but we're going to set it to background 111. So it's noticeable, but it's not as dark as. In fact, that's still a bit too dark. Let's try 222. And that's the easiest way to do greys, by the way, is to go 111, 222. So 222, 222 is that. Now we want it a bit darker, so 118, I think. And again, this is just from playing around. It's nice to have a limited color palette on your thing, but certain times you'll need. So that's still too dark. 1A. Let's try that. We're still on the verge of too dark. Let's try 1F. 1F. Now remember, guys, that like you might think, well, you're playing around now. But I am like that's what you do. Now why isn't that? Just testing something. There we go. Right. Now again, there is a hierarchy of things that are classed. So when you say that when it hovers, it is this color in that background, if there's then not something after it that says, oh, by the way, but you have to do this, then it will change. So I think, I'm just guessing here, if I move that above this, so if I label that first, yeah, as I thought. But we don't really want to do that. We want just the thing to change, just the color to change, just the background rather to change. So if you find something that's not doing it and in a different order it does it, you can specify an important tag. So it's exclamation mark important before the semicolon, semicolon, dot and dash, yeah, semicolon. You can be very specific about it. So here we want the background to change, but not the color. We want the color to stay the same when we hover over. So ballsack. So we want, there we go. So the one that's already selected won't change the color, but the background will. But there is still a very faint background there already, and it's still a bit too faint. So we're just going to go down to like D, and that's a bit darker. There we go. That's perfect. But I still don't like the yellow, so we're going to change the yellow up to a, let's go back, let's grab this color. It's a nice way to do it. If you want a color that matches, start with the original color and then just pick a color like that. Let's make our navs. So we're going back into the nav and changing the color of the original text, and then we're going to change the overlay to an FFF, so it will go white basically when you hover over it. And there we go. How sweet does that look? But we've just covered color really. Color is one of the easiest things to do. We'll go back up to text. I think we already set the color for text, didn't we? Standard text. Yeah, we did. We set it to CCC. But it's a bit boring. It's a bit flat. And what I want to do is I want to teach you about font families. Now there's a really, really easy way to do this. We'll go into the standard text one. So we're going to affect just the text, not the titles. And we're going to do font family. So it's font-family. And then in Dreamweaver, it'll open up a whole series of pre-created font families. Now these are ones that are very generic. They're very standardized fonts. So Verdana, Geneva, and then any sans serif. And the way it works is it does it in order of preference. It will look at the person's computer and say, have they got Verdana? Yes, use Verdana. Okay, okay, they don't have Verdana, but they have Geneva. Use Geneva. So the longer the list, the closer you'll get to exactly what you want because you're specifying what it is. And then the last ditch is, you haven't got any of them, do a sans serif font. And if they don't have any fonts on their computer, I don't know how they're looking at anything. So it will always render in something, but you can be specific as to the order you choose. Now the ones Dreamweaver give you are pretty shite. I'm going to be very honest with that. They're pretty shit. So if you find yourself wanting different fonts or you want a better font family, then head onto the internet, just Google good font family nests or stuff like that, and you'll find there are loads and loads of websites. So I'd be stupid to go into detail when there are loads of websites out there that do it. But to start with, we're just going to go for something simple like Arial, Helvetica, sans serif. So if I've got Arial, it will render it in Arial. If I don't have that and I have Helvetica, it will do it in that. And then if I don't, sans serif. That's pretty much the plainest sans serif one you can do, because Arial is the Windows font and Helvetica is the default Windows sans serif, and Helvetica is the default Mac sans serif. Sans serif being a font with no flicky bits. But I don't want to talk about typography. So we're going to go back, hit Command S, refresh, and there you go. It's in Arial, because I have Arial. I've got a shit ton of fonts. But that's pretty fucking boring. Everybody has that. So I want to. This is the tricky bit, and then we'll go back to the easy bits of styling stuff. They're called web fonts. When you go on other people's, I have a wicked tool. Let's go on my website, panics.co.uk. Oh, I spelled it wrong. Can't spell my own name. Got a total mare there. And here we go. Excuse me. I've got a tool called What the Font, and it's a little button up here. I click What the Font. And then as I scroll over stuff, it tells me what font it's in. So you can see here, this is Liberation Sans Regular. And actually the truth is, it's all in Liberation Sans Regular. So what we'll do, we'll go to robstellini.co.uk. This is my personal site, update/home. I've spelt my actual name wrong. That's tragic. So here's my actual site. And again, we're going to hover over using what the font. And this is Crete Round Regular. Now these aren't standard fonts. These aren't fonts that you have on your computer. And if you loaded this up now, you'd see it exactly how I see it. I have Crete Round. But if you don't have Crete Round, it will still render it. And that's what's called a web font. You can load them in so that a user doesn't have to have a specified font, and you can be very specific. I think in my nest I've only got my nest is font-family : Crete Round Regular slab serif serif. So if you haven't got Crete Round Regular, which you will have because I push it to you, then use a slab serif. And if you don't have a slab serif, just use any fucking font because your computer's wank. So that's pretty much how that goes. So we're going to close these two sites. I would recommend What the Font. It's awesome if you're a bit of a font nerd like me. And it's nice to know what web fonts people are using. You'll find a lot crop up. So the website is called Font Squirrel, and it's fontsquirrel.com. And the ones you're going to be interested in are the font face kits. So that is the fourth from the top, or it's fontsquirrel.com/fontface. Now the link will be in the description, so you guys know exactly what we're doing. And I want to install a heading font, so something to use my headers. Now I'm going to go for something that I probably wouldn't use, but something that's a bit interesting. It's called Kitchen Police. So once you've found a font that you like, open it. We're going to open it in a new window because I just want to show you a different way of doing it. They have hundreds and hundreds and these are all free fonts. These are all fantastically free. So if you're looking for a slab serif font, click on slab serif, and you'll see the ones that say FF next to them means they're ready for a font kit. And you can see here's Crete Round. There you are. That's the font that I use. So if you find yourself wanting it, click on it. So here you are. We're in Kitchen Police and Crete Round. So I think we're going to try and do our best to install both of them. So you don't want to click download TTF. You want to, so here it says test drive character map license font face kit. Click font face kit, and you choose a subset. Obviously you want English. Leave all of these boxes checked. Some of them are legacy, so they support older browsers, and EOT is for Internet Explorer only. SVG is for the older iPhones. So basically they build it ready for you. You just click download font face kit, and they're tiny. They are. It's already downloaded. It's a zip, so you just uncompress it. I uncompress mine by opening it, but you can use WinZip, and then we'll open up. Let's just close my other downloads folder, and here you go. So inside this file there is the license text. So have a little read of this, when you can use it. So this is a provider for free or commercial use, but it can't be redistributed, sold, or modified. So that's pretty standard. That is some other stuff. Just for some Yeousch graphic stuff. So we'll close that. And what you're going to want to do is you can test it. You can open up the index demo. So open that up with thing, and here you go. You can see it's highlightable. These aren't images. These are, and if you make it bigger and smaller, it goes bigger and smaller. Let's get it back in the actual size. This is how the web is going. It's going towards these web face kits, and they're really, really small files, so they're no loading time. But the way it works is if you open up our let's go back to our desktop and open up our thing, website tutorial. So I've got that open now, and I want the file we've just downloaded open, kitchen font face, and in our website we're going to create a folder called fonts. So that's just fonts, and then in there you want to copy the EOT, SVG, TTF, and WOF. So you can just drag them over and bosh, pop them in. Now if you open up the style sheet there's a stylesheet.css. If you open that up in Dreamweaver, you'll see that this is the code. It's pre-built for you. So what you're going to want to do is, I like to have them in a separate CSS file. So there is a fucking loud aeroplane flying by my house. Let's create a new CSS file. So we go to CSS, and then we're going to hit Command Shift S, or Save As, File Save As, and we're going to go down to Desktop. Well, rather, we're going to go to our website tutorial folder, and we're going to call it fonts.css. And we're going to close that, and then we're going to come back to our index file, and where you've linked the style sheet CSS, just copy it, put it down one line, enter it, and then change style to fonts. And there you go, you'll see it pop up here. So, there you go, all you need to do is copy this over, Command C, Command V, and if you want to be really anal, you can label it. This is Kitchen Police, one font. So there's one variation, there's one way to this. But, excuse me, there is something in my throat. Let's try again. But this is directing to your the folder where fonts.css is. This is directing to look for a file in that folder. But if we come back to it, it's not actually in here. It's in a folder called fonts. So what you're going to want to do is just put fonts and then a / in front of each of these files. So the URL, you want to make sure that it does that. And there you go, it's loaded that font. So what we're going to do is we're going to make our H1 main title taggers in Kitchen Police Regular. So let's go to Style, let's go to H1, and so we've already got our H1 tag. We're just going to do font-family, Kitchen Police Regular, and then sans serif. Because it's always good to have a backup, because you want Kitchen Police is a sans serif in many ways. You don't want it to render a serif before it renders a sans serif, so just do that. So let's hit Command S, head back over. We can close that, or we can close all that. Well, I want to install Crete Regular as well, and there you go. How simple is that? Now you might think that it's a little bit. If you look really carefully, it's not particularly well aliased. So we go back to our style sheet, and then in our star one, so that applies to everything, remember. I'm just going to broaden this out because it's going to be quite a big one. You're going to want dash WebKit font, no, what is it? No? I'm going to have to check this. So, let's open up my website again, robstellini.co.uk, got it right this time, hey. And again, if you like websites and you think, how have they done that? Right click, view page source, and it will show you all of their code. Mine's relatively clean, so if you like something on mine, then go for it. Like, feel free to see how I've done it. Click stylesheet.css, and you'll see up here, WebKit font smoothing. I know I was right. Maybe Dreamweaver doesn't support it yet. So it's WebKit font, I have to keep checking, smoothing, font-smoothing, and then it is anti-aliased, and then we'll close that, and then we'll come back to here, we'll close these ones, and then bosh, doesn't look like it's done much, but that's probably because there wasn't much to anti-alias. And then when the WebKit prefix, I think I mentioned this before. Did I mention this? No, I didn't. The WebKit prefix means that any browser using WebKit will recognize that. So if you open this in Firefox, Firefox will just completely ignore and negate that bit of code. So we're going to want this to work in Firefox as well. So we do it, and then we do Moz, which is the thing for Firefox. WebKit is Chrome and Safari. And actually, Opera lies. They say they use their own one, but they don't. They use WebKit. But we're going to do Opera as well, which is -O. And for those twats who still use Internet Explorer, we'll do -MS, but actually that doesn't support that at all. And then, because these are all codes that are at the moment supported by their respective browsers, there will probably come a time when... Sorry, I just got a text from my mum. There will probably come a time when they take off the opening bits. So we just want font, no, with no dash, sorry, font, smoothing, anti-aliased. And that's just code that you're going to have to take my word for. It does what it does in the background. I just want to check that I've got it. I have got it right though, because that would be embarrassing. The best way to check is for me to just copy it off mine and see what changes. No, nothing changed. So there we are. That's just one of those things that you have to learn. So we'll just close those, and there we go. So that's our title in that. And like I said, I want to install the Crete one as well. I'm just basically redoing the same process, but Crete has more font faces. So we'll close that, and we're going to go to Crete Font Face Kit and hit Download Font Face Kit. Same way we did it before. Let's open it, and then open the Round Face Kit. Now you see there's twice as many files here, or rather nearly twice as many files, because there's more fonts. There is regular and italic. Now you want all of these files in still, so let's copy these, all of the EOTs to WOFs, and then the next set as well. Drag them over into fonts, and then the style sheet, open up that style sheet, copy this in to your fonts style sheet. Now we're going to call this Crete Round 2 Fonts, and then paste it in, and then we're just going to do the fonts thing again. So I'm just going to copy the fonts, and then bosh, 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 and there we go. So that's your italic one and your regular one put in, and we're going to make our body text into Crete Round. But instead of labeling, if you're going to use, like on my site, I've just used Crete Round, or on my Panic site, I've just used Liberation. If you want to make everything that, then instead of putting it in your standard text, put it in your body text. So body, you want to do font dash family Crete Round regular sans serif. That way, anything that is rendered will be in that font unless you specify otherwise. So the Kitchen Police title will be different because we've specified otherwise. So let's close that now, and let's open up the website, and there you go. So everything is now in Crete Round regular, except for what we specified not to be. And there we go. That is literally how easy it is. It's fantastically easy. There is one thing I just want to test. I think I might have got this in the wrong place. I'm trying to. Sorry, I'm. It didn't look like it was anti-aliasing properly. I think I might have got it in the wrong place. This is embarrassing. No, it was in the right place. It was in the right place. Ignore me. Just, yeah, let me go about my tardy little ways. Anyway, so there we go. We've got a font in. We've got our text in a font that we've chosen. Now there are literally hundreds on there, so don't use the ones I've used unless you really like them. But that still looks pretty fucking plain. Like the colour's nice, but actually, if you go on most websites, they've got something called a drop shadow. Now, we're going to go into our standard text, because your drop shadow will differ varying on the colour. So where you set a colour will probably be where you set a drop shadow. So let's go to our standard text and do text shadow, text dash shadow. Now your values are as follows. Your first value is your colour. Your second value is how far you want it to go right. Your third value is how far you want it to go down. And your fourth value is how much you want to blur it. So let's set font shadow 000, which is black, and we want it to go 2 pixels to the right, 2 pixels down, and we want to blur it by 5 pixels. And then we're going to close that, and we're going to open it and see how that looks. And there you go. Each one of them has this fucking garish shadow, and it looks horrible. So we're going to take that away, but we're going to change it. There is a really, really neat trick. You don't need to specify the blur, so let's take the blur out. And you've got a much nicer shadow. But it's still a little bit obtrusive. It's there, but it's a bit in your face. If you take off the downward, the left-hand value, the sort of horizontal value, the second one, so your first directional one, set that to 0, and just have 2 pixels down. How nice is that? And you can be even more specific. You can say 1.5 pixels because you can have half pixel apparently. And there you go. So you've got a small shadow, and you can see it when you highlight it. There's a shadow there, but it doesn't detract from the text. So you can see it. You can see it probably more with the title. So let's put H1. Let's put that in black. So 0, 0, 0. So we're going to change the color of the H1 to black. Now this is just purely for demonstration. That looks a bit shit. Text shadow. Text dash shadow. Let's try and spell it right. Let's go with CCC. That's a really light grey. And again, 0, 2 pixels. Let's try, see how that looks. Oh, that looks a bit shit actually. Again, oh fuck, oh dear, oops. 1 pixels. Again, this is just playing around, trying to work out what looks good. There we are, that looks alright, that looks quite nice actually. And that is a drop shadow on the text. That's purely CSS text. So what happens is when you, let's see if we can view this in Safari. I don't know if you can view Reader offline, but if you were to do that as an image, apart from it being fixed width, so it wouldn't be able to adapt if the size changed. Okay, you can't do Reader offline, but basically how that works is this will register as text. It will register as like legible text. So if your title says like Panic's Home or whatever, then you'll show on Google as Panic's Home. Now we're going to change that back. I want to change the color to something nice, and I like this one. I like this color here. So we're going to do that, and let's see how it looks with a white shadow. Not very good. We're going to change it back to a black shadow. So that's 0, 0, 0. And there we go. Again, let's take that down 2 pixels. Bammo. And there you go. That is really simply how to do it. At the moment, only WebKit supports gradient text, and on a gradient text you can't put a drop shadow. So if you want some kind of gradient text in a header, then you're going to have to use an image. But we'll look at that next time because that's part of a Photoshop. So we're actually going to open Photoshop for the first time next week, or next time, as we look to get images in, or rather background images. We're not going to deal with actual physical images yet, just more about how stuff is going to look, and about different ways to do it. We'll talk about CSS3 gradients. Why have I opened dictionary? But there you go. So that is really simply how to install a font face. So we can close these two. So we've installed 3 fonts, and yeah, that's pretty much that. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this. I certainly have, and you've learnt something. Again, my site looks a little bit. The blues I'd need to play around with. Next time when we actually get some design stuff in, probably going to change that around again. But that's the beauty of websites, is with a little bit of code, with one change of code, you can do it. It's really easy, and there's lots of different ways of doing it. So don't feel that you have to do exactly what I've done. Don't feel you have to center the titles or anything like that. You can have your site however you want. I'm just teaching you the basics of how it works, rather than how to design exactly what I'm designing. This isn't when Jamie Oliver cooks at Christmas, he cooks exactly to how he does it. This isn't that. I'm not teaching you how to come out with exactly the same thing as me. I'm teaching you how to learn the basics and how to learn the framework so that you can build something even better, something awesome. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. Like I say, next episode we'll be looking at Photoshop stuff, and just basically how to get images in and how to best save images for websites. Some people make a big error when they're designing for websites, but we'll deal with that next week or next time. I have an Illustrator tutorial coming in the next couple of days, hopefully, fingers crossed, touch wood. And so hopefully you guys will enjoy that, and be sure to show it some love. Subscribe to this show. The link is in the description. If you like this and you want to make sure you stay up to date with every episode, if you subscribe to the show, it will pop up in your sub box when I add stuff to the show. So it's a good way to stay in contact, and it's a good way for me to know how many people are actually enjoying these and using them. If you guys have done something and you want to show me it, and you've done something and it's not quite right, screenshot it and stick it online. Or I think there are file sharing, HTML file sharing, so you can upload your code and show me. Just tweet me at Panics, and I'll be more than happy to have a look and see what we can do. But I'd like to think I've done everything I can so far. As always, the link will be in the description for the download of every part so far and this one. Obviously next time we'll only have parts 2 and above. I'm going to keep the last 5 parts in the description, but obviously you can go back to older episodes to see what's going on. So I hope you guys have enjoyed that, and the websites are coming along just nicely. Like I said, these are going to be quite slow to build, but once you get past a certain part, you'll be away and you won't need my tutorials anymore. You'll be able to build some awesome stuff. So thank you very much. I've been Robo Panics, and I'll see you guys really, really soon. Goodbye.